Welcome to our Devos. It is, if you're watching this, Election Day. Not right now, I'm filming this ahead of Election Day, but it is Election Day. There's a very, very strong percentage chance that there is not going to be a candidate declared to be the winner today. So I don't want anybody to really spend time thinking about that, but this is a really important day. If you're watching this in the morning, you have to make the decision. And the decision is, am I going to vote? As a Christian, you should be voting. There's no excuse. There's no excuse. The election, if you look at the 2020 election, it was decided by conservatively, and again, this was stated by different people, and the exact number I'm not sure, but it's under probably 40,000 votes decided the 2020 election. That is nothing. I mean, it's a real small amount of votes. Now, when you look at that, there are millions of Christians that are going to say, look, I'm not voting. They're going to fold their arms and go, the whole government's evil, the whole world is evil, I'm just abstaining. Well, to abstain is to go with the course of the world. Meaning, if you abstain, I want you to think about you saying, I have no say-so in this whatsoever. I can't control it. So if I don't vote, it doesn't make a difference. Well, here is what I will suggest to you. If you don't vote, you don't have the right to discuss how bad things get in the world. If you don't vote, you don't have the voice to be able to say that you care about the country, because what you're doing is you're just abdicating of the responsibility that God has given us, the right that God has given us through living in this time in history to cast our vote, to try to do what I want to talk about today is vote for righteousness. Now, there is no, and I mean this, and I've said this, and the message that I got in trouble for the most in the last year was when I spoke about the Republican platform and the Democratic platform, and I said that the Republican platform used to be solely, completely pro-life. And I said now the Republican platform is backed off to be a more moderate, middle-of-the-road, pro-life type of position, which I think is abhorrent. I don't care much about whether you would consider me a strong Republican or a liberal Democrat or a conservative Democrat. It doesn't make a difference. What matters is the issues. And when I said that, I got a bunch of people, well, this is the only way to go, and you shouldn't talk about President Trump. You shouldn't. And that's fine. You can have whatever opinion you want, but this is what I think of. I'm going into the voting booth to try to vote for, to the degree that I can, something that is righteous. What candidate is going to be more on the side of righteousness, of securing religious freedom, of making sure that we are doing less to influence gender ideology of our children, trying to influence what's been happening in that area? Which party is doing more to try to secure the crime that's happening as a result of the open borders? Which party is doing more with regard to making sure that the pro-life issue remains as loose as possible regarding it being the law of the land? Which party is going to defend that this should be a state issue, which if you're a Christian, it shouldn't be a state issue at all. It should be an evil issue. It's evil. Abortion is evil. And you have to look at it like that from that standpoint. Which party is going to more align with righteousness? And there's really only one choice if you look at this from that standpoint. Proverbs chapter 14, verse 34. It says, righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is a reproach to any people. So the closer you can get to righteousness, there's no choice. If you look at, we went through all these examples over the weekend of how God worked in the Old Testament and the New Testament throughout wicked governments and used Christians and used leaders and dealt with leaders in those areas, even in the Old Testament culture, in wicked situations to still see that righteousness is being done. Were there times where those that were leading had to go against what the government said? Absolutely. Look at Exodus. Look at all the leaders. Look at Moses. Look at Joseph. Look at the Apostle Paul. He was put in jail. Look at the early church. Look at Peter and John, jail. So there are times that there's a lot of times that the government goes against Christianity. And so what we have to do is we have to do whatever we can to try to keep righteousness at the forefront. So there is only one party that's seemingly moving in the direction of righteousness. Not perfect, far from perfect. But if you look at it, it is impossible to say with confidence, okay, I'm really confident that I can vote Democrat. And I can vote Democrat because they are for righteousness. Read the policies. Read what they want to do, and then read the scriptures and really examine what's going on here. This is common sense. This isn't theological. This is common sense. We have to pursue righteousness. So today, if you weren't planning on voting, vote. If you weren't planning on actually looking and saying, look, I don't like this candidate, I don't like President Trump, I don't like this idea, but here's what you need to realize. God is not holding you accountable for the candidate's behavior. God is holding you accountable to try to pursue, in whatever way you can, righteousness. And being a steward of the voting opportunity that we have as Christians, you should be responsible. Just like you're responsible with your health, you're responsible with your money, you want to be responsible with democracy. So vote. Today's the day. Vote. The eyes of the world are watching a handful of states in this country. Pennsylvania is one of them. Look at how much concerted effort by both candidates has been on Pennsylvania. Specifically Pittsburgh, counties, areas, lots of rallies, because the world is watching. And we very well could be the state that decides the election. My question is, which side of this do you want to be on? I didn't vote. I didn't vote for that election. I didn't do that. Or do you want to be someone that says, I know that the government is corrupt. I know the government has a lot of issues, but I am going to pursue the righteous choice and vote the way that best reflects the scriptures.